You know what I think?
What's that?
You're still at war.
So full of shit, Counselor. So full of shit. You know what I think, you hero? I think you're a half measure. I think you're a man who can't finish the job. I think that you're a coward. You know the one thing that you just can't see? You know you're one bad day away from being me.
Justice means different things to different people. For Daredevil, it means hope. For the Punisher, it means war. One believes in second chances. The other believes some people don't deserve them. They both lost everything. They both waged war in the same city. But they couldn't be more different. When Daredevil and the Punisher cross paths, it's not just about fists or bullets. It's about two philosophies clashing in the darkest corners of the Marvel Universe. So today we ask the question, who was right? Daredevil or the Punisher?
I'm not that guy, Red.
You want to explain that to the orphans and the widows of the men you killed?
Shit, that's what you think. I'm just some crazy asshole going around unloading on whoever I want to,
Yeah,
huh?
that's exactly what I think.
That is?
You think you're anything else?
I think that the people I kill need killing. That's what I think.
You left men hanging from meat hooks.
They got off easy, in my opinion.
Let's rewind. Matt Murdock lost his sight in a chemical accident as a child, but gained heightened senses.
He pushed me out of the way. He saved my life.
I can't see. I can't see.
Raised by a struggling boxer, he learned about justice, hard work, and compassion. But he also learned about injustice, from the corrupt politicians to the mobsters who ran Hell's Kitchen and murdered his father. He became a lawyer and a vigilante, because the law doesn't always work, but Matt still believes it can. Now Frank Castle, he's what happens when the system completely collapses. A decorated Marine, a family man, until one day, his wife and kids were killed while accidentally witnessing a mob hit. And the justice system buried it. So Frank became something else. Something brutal. Something permanent. The law failed him. Now he is the law. Where Matt sees the potential to save people, Frank sees targets, threats, and evil that needs to be put down, not rehabilitated. Matt and Frank have clashed many times across the comics, but there are a few moments that define their rivalry and their ideologies. In Punisher number 3 from 2000, Punisher chains Daredevil to a rooftop, tapes a gun to his hand, and tells him, either shoot me, or I shoot this criminal. Matt shoots after begging and pleading with Castle, but Frank took out the firing pin. And Frank, he pulls the trigger and kills the criminal anyway. Frank believes Matt's mercy lets killers walk free. It's a test and a statement. In the 2005 Daredevil vs. Punisher 6-issue miniseries, Means and Ends, we get one of their most iconic showdowns. This story kicks off with Hammerhead making a move to take over the underworld, but in the background someone far more dangerous is pulling the strings, the Jackal, now going by the Professor. The heart of the story is a teenager named Martin. Martin's just a kid, a regular teenager whose father is scared of the gangs and pays him off for protection. But Martin, he refuses to live in fear. When the gang comes knocking again, Martin fights back. He shoots 2 of them. That moment flips his world upside down. While this happens, we see Matt trying to stop Frank from murdering a drug lord working for the Hammerhead. Punisher doesn't care about due process. He knows the guy's guilty. But Matt sees every kill as a step toward darkness, even for someone like Frank. At the end of the miniseries, Martin's father is killed in retaliation. His sister and mother are left hospitalized. Martin is left spiraling with guilt and rage. Punisher goes to the hospital to check on the family, but Martin comes in, blaming Frank. But then, Hammerhead's men rush the hospital, trying to kill Frank and finish Martin. Martin and Frank get separated in the crossfire, leading to Frank to go to Martin's apartment to look for him. That's when Daredevil finds Frank and Martin holed up. That's when things explode. And what follows is one of the rawest fights these two have ever had. It's vicious, claustrophobic, street-level brutality at its finest. And in the middle of it, Martin pulls a gun on Daredevil. Not because he wants to kill him, but because he wants to stop him from taking down Frank. And what does Punisher do? He tells Martin to put down the gun. He refuses to let this kid become like him. But then, just seconds later, Hammerhead's men kick the door in and blow Martin away with a shotgun blast to the chest. Just like that, he's gone. An innocent teenager caught in the middle of 2 ideologies, and neither of them could save him. Martin dies and both Daredevil and Punisher are left haunted by it, because in the end, neither of them could save him. Means and Ends isn't just about Daredevil vs. Punisher, it's about the cost of the war they fight. Because even when you mean well, in a city like theirs, it might not be enough. Then there's the Omega Effect crossover. Daredevil, Punisher, and Spider-Man are all after the same powerful piece of intel, called the Omega Drive. The Omega Drive is built from an old Fantastic Four costume made from unstable molecules. Reed says it was probably Johnny since he's always the worst at cleaning up after himself. The drive has intel on AIM, Hydra, and all other Marvel bad guys. Spider-Man and Daredevil want to protect the innocent. Frank wants to use it to get all the intel on the criminals running the streets. It's chaos, but it shows how far apart Frank really is from the heroes of New York.
Everything you do out there in the streets, Red, it doesn't work. Did you know that?
Oh, and what you're doing is better?
What I do, I just do. It's out of necessity. We don't get to pick the things that fix us, Red. My moment of clarity came from the strangest of places.
Matt Murdock is a man constantly at war with himself. He fights crime every night, but he believes in the system by day. He's religious, he believes in sin, guilt, and redemption. Every time he breaks someone's jaw, he questions if he's becoming the very thing he fights. But Frank Castle, he made peace with being a monster a long time ago. He doesn't care about redemption, not for himself, not for anyone else. He doesn't want to be saved. He sees himself as a weapon, one aimed at evil. But that's the thing. Punisher sees morality in black and white. Matt sees shades of gray. And that's what scares Frank. Because deep down, he knows Matt is what he could have been if life hadn't shattered him. Despite their hatred, there's always been a strange respect between them. Punisher doesn't want to kill Matt. To him, Daredevil doesn't deserve to be punished. Frank thinks Matt is a truly good man. He just wants him to stay out of his way. And Matt, he's admitted more than once that he understands Frank. He hates that part of himself, the part that wants to end threats permanently. But that's why he needs to keep his code. Because he knows the second he crosses that line, he becomes just like Castle. In Shadowland, we even see Matt fall. He loses control, becomes a darker version of Daredevil. He even dislocates both of Bullseye's arm, then stabs him through the chest, doing him just like he did to Elektra. I should mention that Matt was possessed by the Beast of the Hand, but it still showed how ruthless he can be. Bullseye was later resurrected by Lady Bullseye, using her knowledge of resurrection rituals by the hand. That's not the only time Matt's crossed the line. In Daredevil Born Again, the show, after Bullseye shoots and kills Foggy, Matt and Poindexter have a brutal, rage-fueled fight that ends with Matt throwing Bullseye off a 4-story building. He survives, but that moment shows how close Matt can get to becoming the very thing he hates. This shows that Matt isn't a perfect hero. He slips, he falls, but his morals always shine through. These two are mirrors of each other. Frank is what happens when justice dies. Matt is what happens when it barely survives. So who was right? If you believe in this system, even when it fails, you might side with Daredevil. He holds on to hope. He believes people can change, and he's willing to fight for that, no matter how broken the world is. But if you've seen the worst of humanity, if you believe some people are too dangerous to live, if you've lost faith in the law entirely, then you probably understand the Punisher. They both protect the innocent, they both fight evil, but only one of them is trying to save lives, the other is trying to end them. This isn't just a superhero debate. It's a question about injustice, trauma, and morality. If you were to ask me who I think is right, I couldn't give you a straight answer. Frank is brutal and final, and honestly, there are monsters in the world who deserve the Punisher. But at the same time, the world needs good men like Daredevil. Men who never give up on people, who still believe in redemption. Some people can be saved, some can't. That's the truth. That's why both the Devil of Hell's Kitchen and the walking one-man war on crime, Frank Castle, are both necessary in the Marvel Universe. So now it's your turn. Who was right? The devil who fights for redemption, or the Punisher who gave up on it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching and stay heroic.
You run around this city like it's your damn shooting gallery.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do? You act like it's a playground. You beat up the bullies with your fists, you throw them in jail, everybody calls you a hero, right? And then a month, a week, a day later, you're back on the streets doing the same goddamn thing.
So you just put him in the morgue.
You goddamn right I do. Bang.